and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 7 of my Midnight Mission series, and in this video we're going to go ahead and just keep on adding more details to the mission and refining it. If you want to follow along traditionally, check out part 1 in this series, where I have a list of all the brushes and the paint and the canvas that I use. We're going to be using Infinite Painter for Android, and we're going to go ahead and start working on the windows and the doorway. And what we want to do is go ahead and continue using the Angelo brush and use probably a dark brown color, say burnt umber, or with a little bit of dioxazine purple in it, and make the brush really small. And if you're following along traditionally, probably use you can use your small script brush or a small round brush. And what we want to do here is go ahead and add the little niche that's going to be above the doorway. And this is just kind of a little, I guess you'd call it a little alcove or something. It's kind of a recess, and it's not completely an open window or anything, but it's just a little recessed place where they'll put a candle above the doorway sometimes. And so what you want to do is take some dioxazine purple and a little bit of your mixture that you used to make the plaster on the front of your mission, and just go ahead and use the Pollock brush and maybe lower the opacity a little bit and just give it the same texture as the front of the mission, but you want to keep a little bit of a line there, so that makes it look like it's recessed and pushed back in there. But we still want the texture of the adobe, because it'll still be plastered. And then we want to go ahead and use either the Leo brush or the Angelo brush, one of those, to give a kind of a wood texture on the door, and kind of give it a little bit of a thickness there on the left side, and that just shows a little bit of depth right there. But we want it to be kind of a light brown color. And so I'm just going ahead and putting that on the side, and then I want a wood texture on the door. So what I'm doing is using some burnt umber, and you can take your number 6 flat brush if you're following along traditionally, and use a dry brush technique where you just lightly drag the bristles over the darker wood underneath, and let the darker wood show up a little bit. In an Infinite Painter, I'm kind of smudging it together and throwing in some burnt umber and a little bit of rusty orange color too. And I'm using the straight line tool to make the split between the doors and make sure that they're all straight there. And then I'm just adding different shades of brown, just trying to give it kind of a wood-like look here. And just keep on doing that and smudge it a little bit. Keep trying to blend them in, just to get that sort of weathered wood look that some of the old doors on the old Adobe missions have. And then I want to go ahead and save it right quick, since I'm getting things going pretty good. And just work a little bit on the doors, kind of make the shadow on the left side a little bit smaller, and then I'm drawing in some more details on the doors, some of the boards that go across, and smoothing out the shadow in the recess above the doors, and also working on the niche above the doors, just making it a little bit more refined, and just adding more detail to the doors here, because we want to give it a little bit of some fine detail, and you don't have to add tons of detail, but Just little touches like that really add interest to your picture. And so you can go ahead and just keep working on the texture a little bit above there. That just gives it a little bit more of an adobe look. And keep the edges of it kind of rough there along the recessed part there. And also do the same thing for the windows. Make sure that they're kind of straight. And then there's also a little part above the windows that's not totally open. It's recessed, but it's not a complete hole in the wall there. So, and it's also plastered. So you can go ahead and do that and put in the darker color for the burnt umber and just refine the edges and the shape of the windows there. You can use your script brush to do this, your small script brush, or a small number 3 round brush if you have one of those. And here I'm just making kind of a decorative edge on the window there, and it just gives it more interest, and it makes it look kind of neat when you add the little architectural details on your building. And I'm just working kind of on the doorway too, giving it the same decorative look, sort of, just a little bit of a line there, and then it makes it have a little edge there, like they've made it real decorative and made a nice pretty arch for the door and the windows. And then you can go ahead and do that to the window on the left. Do the same thing, kind of straighten it out, make sure that you've got the window fairly straight, and you can go ahead and add the little alcove above the window too. Use the same mixture that you used to do the plaster on the front of the adobe, and that's burnt umber. You can throw in a little bit of cadmium yellow light and throw in a lot of white, a little bit of purple. You just want kind of that off-white brownish color. And then I'm working on making the little decoration above the window there too. And just keep on smudging it in and adding in a little bit of a darker color there to show that it's recessed and pushed in, but that it's not a completely open window. And then I'm just kind of throwing in a bit of some purple color on the adobe right there and smoothing it out just to give it some more texture right there and to cover up the brush strokes that I used when I was doing my window. And that's kind of what you have to do. If you make brush strokes and they don't blend in, then go back and sort of cover it up again with a rough brush stroke look and smudge it with your finger when you're doing this traditionally. And just try to make it blend in there. And then I'm working on the windows a little bit more, just trying to add a little detail, make the edges look rough because it's the adobe mud plaster, and so it's not going to be real smooth. The edges are going to be kind of textured and rough looking. So you want to get that effect around your windows and around the door. And then I want to go ahead and put indication of a doorstep there, and just, you don't have to get real fancy with this. Just kind of use that same off-white color, brownish color, and put it in front of the doors. And then since I moved the doors over, we need to change the path here. So just go ahead and you can smudge that out with your smudge brush. Set on Leo or Angelo brush or something, and if you're doing this traditionally, just go back over it with some brown paint. You'll need to anyway to go ahead and make it look dirt-like. And then I'm highlighting the bell a little bit, just put some edge lighting on and use a mixture of cadmium yellow light with white, and just kind of do the left side of the bell where the moonlight is shining on it. You don't want a whole lot of it, but just kind of outline the edge, and then that gives you the shape of the bell. This is the end of part 7 of my Midnight Mission series, and in part 8 we're going to go ahead and continue making more details on the mission, and we're also going to work on the well and do some touch-ups on the old tree. So thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.